You are now listening to Talk is Cheap FM. Brought to you by Bet the Tuesday.
Talk is cheap, motherfucker.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, like, remember, at the end, just keep your, you have your circle. Make sure that it's people that are willing to give and not always take, and make sure that you're dealing with like-minded people. And you may have certain friends that you want to talk to because you're like-minded in the way y'all want to kick it, and then you got other people that you're like-minded in that the way that you guys want to execute your goals in the gym.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you got other people that, you want to be around them because you like the way their finances are, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever it is, just make sure you pay attention to that circle. But yeah, I mean, when do you show your woman your weakness? Well, you should be able to.
Yeah,
and then the other thing is we want to say, oh, well, you should be able to. Well, but at the same time, you have to be careful because it can make the relationship stronger, right? Like if I let my girl know, hey, like I'm not very motivated right now. I don't feel good, whatever. Okay, that's okay. Why? Because I'm gonna get up the next day and I'm still gonna try to kill it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't stay in that weak mindset. And I'm like, man, I don't feel good. I'll try to figure out, like, why am I feeling like this? Did I eat right? Did I sleep? Did I have enough sleep? Is it because I skipped the gym? Is it because of something that happened at work? Is it because my car is messing up? What is it? But you figure it out and then you move forward. If you stay weak, they'll leave you. Why? Because why would a woman want to be with a weak man? How is that going to look like for whenever she decides to have kids and then is looking for that male to protect her? You can't protect her if you're acting weak.
Or there's situations where a woman will look for a weak man to have kids with because she can control the situation. But I think that's a whole nother subject.
Right.
That's a whole nother. I'm writing that down. Hold up. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the way she was raised, right? She was raised that you don't need a man. You can do it all by yourself. And, men ain't shit,
Yeah.
And
which
she
I
actually believed it.
I fucking laugh at that.
Then she's also upset because she can't find a good man.
Yeah.
Why? Well, okay, you ever heard that saying, women want to procreate with the alpha male, but then they end up settling with the beta male? Why? Because the beta male is the one that is going to offer the long-term stability, but the alpha male is going to be the one that makes her feel good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that our goal as men is, are you going to be able to be that alpha male and that beta male at the same time? I mean, why they say that it's being a beta, that's no whole other subject. But and I think that you can be an alpha male and still provide and do all those things. But I think that if you want to be like somebody if you want to increase your level of attraction, work hard to be both. So like, I'm going to the gym, I'm lifting, I'm keeping the physique game strong, I'm keeping my game tight, right? But also, I'm also making sure that, like, I'm going to hold it down at the end of the day, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And see, and you also got to look at this, right? I think that the reason why a lot of the feedback for this question has been like, well, no, you shouldn't, a man shouldn't be this and that, or, well, if a woman does this, and okay, look, at the end of the day, a man has to court his woman every day, and a woman has to court her man every day, vice versa, because the day that you get complacent is the day that you start risking your relationship, and that's why you have a lot of people that fell in love back in high school or college, or when they were in their early 20s, 30s, whatever, and then 5 years later, they're getting divorced, and why? Because the man stopped being a man, and that resulted in the woman stop being a woman. See, at the end of the day, I mean, this is just my belief, right? And it's not set in stone, but this is what I believe. I believe that, the way that I was raised, it's the man's responsibility of whether the relationship, whether the family or relationship succeeds or not. because if the man is the one with the purpose and he's doing his thing, and the woman comes and follows suit and says, okay, like, I like where you're going, I like what you're doing with your life, I want to follow you and help you with your purpose. If he stops, then she's going to start losing that confidence and that trust, right? And then if she starts losing it, well, women are pretty freaking loyal, but if you do it for too long, they're going to slowly be like, all right, like, I've already called you out on it. I've tried to continue to stay with you and stay loyal, but, like, you continue to not act like the man that I fell in love with, therefore, I'm going to have to bounce.
Here.
And so that's the result is now you got these guys that are saying, oh, these women are hoes, this and that. It's like, well, are they? Or is it just that you decided that you got comfortable and stopped courting and stopped being a man, and as a result, she left you?
Here's the thing, man.
So how do you fix it? Stop being a man again.
Here's the thing. I can't put full blame on dudes, and I can't put full blame on women in the situation, because I feel like the what you just said is like old school, like traditional. It fucking makes sense, because I mean, we grew up in that era where that fucking makes sense, but now we live in an era where, like, technology is growing faster than like the old traditional ways, right? And also,
oh yeah, you just gotta swipe left or right.
Yeah, like, here's the situation, right? You could be a man, you can have purpose, you can be focused. Women are drawn to that, right? But if you're a man with focus and purpose, time, you understand how valuable time is, right? So you have to juggle time to follow your passion, and you have to juggle time for your girl, right? And even if you do it correctly where both parties are happy, like you're happy and she's happy, she's always going to want a little bit more time nowadays. And that might have happened back in the day too, but I see it more where it's like, I gave an example of this dude, he's swole at the gym, right? Like he wins competitions and shit, and he was approached by a chick and they started dating each other, right? And she was kind of in the gym too. Now, he makes some money off of how he looks and everything like that, right? So he spends a whole lot of time in the gym. And she knew that, but then she complained because he spent time in the gym and not time with her, right? So it ended up that she started, emotionally cheating on him through technology. I think it was Instagram or shit, some shit. And then she ended up, like, cheating on him, right? So it's almost like women are attracted to a dude that's doing a lot, right? Like, he's in it could be a dude who is, like, working a 9 to 5, but doing overtime, because he has that good work ethic, right? But then she loves him making money and shit like that, because she can spend it, she feels secure and shit. But at the same time, she might complain that he's spending too much time at work, and then she's not getting attention. Then she could, venture off and, fucking cheat on him or whatever, right? So
yeah, right. I mean, what you're saying, first of all, technology has changed the game.
Changed it.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like it was back in the early 1800s, where, like, there was one girl in, like, a 5-mile radius.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was known that she's around your age, you're gonna marry that girl, and y'all are gonna live on the family ranch and work, and so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be harder, but the harder you search, you're going to appreciate what you have when you find it. And so my advice would be, look, don't. At the end of the day, he probably would have lost her anyways, because it doesn't sound like she's really being that stable. And my whole thing is, okay, if he was so caught up with lifting, and how was he able to make time for her in the beginning?
Exactly.
But then also, so it's not, you can't say it's either his fault or her fault. There needs to be ownership on both ends, because she very well could have been delusional and thinking, oh, well, I can change a guy, right? There's that saying somebody told me, and I don't know who, but it said, like, a guy wants a woman that a woman wants to be with a man that she can change, and men want
No, I'd never
And
heard
so
that shit, but that's
you know what I'm
that's
saying? So she tried to get with this dude and was like, I'm gonna tie him down, right?
yeah.
And he was like, oh man, she's sweet and I don't want her to change. Except that she started changing and he wasn't able to adapt. You know?
Wow,
I mean,
wow.
there's been plenty of times where, and then also, you also got to ask, my question would be to the guy and said, you know, what was the pattern like when y'all fell in love or when you ended up attracting her? And then did you maintain that pattern or did you change that pattern? So for instance, like what you're saying is, if you're going to be, like, have your purpose, I'm too busy grinding, I don't have time, right? Well, guess what? If a woman comes along and she likes you and you're like, excuse me, you're in my way right now, and she's going to be like, oh my God, that's so hot, you have a purpose, I want you, and you're like, are you sure? Because this is how I am all the time. And then she's like, yep. And then you guys end up starting a relationship, and you continue to just do your thing and work and grind, and she's just like, I'm here. You know, a lot of guys, once they get the girl, they start, maybe things aren't going well, so then what happens? The insecurity starts to kick in, and then they start, hey, baby, how's it going? Hey, how's your day? Hey, what are you doing? Oh, in business, they say texting is for setting appointments. Leaving a voicemail is for setting appointments. A lot of guys lose that aura of attraction about themselves because they're too busy not giving the woman something to wonder about. So, like, why would I want to hang out with you if you told me everything that you're doing? You see what I'm saying? You still have to maintain that level of mysteriousness, right? So you got to be careful. See, a lot of the times, this is a good point. Okay, check this out. You talk to your girl, but whenever you are like really doing bad, you need to go talk to your boys.
You know what? Yo,
women have the guy, hey, they'll talk to you, they'll open up to you, whoop-de-whoop, whatever, right? But then they also need to have their girls to talk to, right?
Yeah.
A man has his father, a woman has her mother.
Yeah.
Or a mother figure or a father figure, right? And so that's why it's good to have that circle. That's why it's good to have your group of boys that you can go to whenever things are going bad. And you have to be wise enough to say, okay, I already told my girl about this yesterday. I'm still not feeling good. Then let me call my boys. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm still feeling like shit, Jeremiah, man, like this and that, and then I'll be there like, hey, hey, wake up, snap out of it, let's go. What can you control? Focus on that. Push forward, grind, go to the gym. Make sure you stay waking up early. Make sure you're still eating right. I know you don't feel like it, right?
Dude, you are saying
even if you stop lifting, even if you stop lifting right now, you'll be in better shape than 80% of the population. But guess what? It's not about them. Don't ever compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself. What is your best? Yeah. Right? Because remember that saying, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's how you play the game.
Yep.
If you play the game to the best of your ability, the result is going to follow.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people want to just make that A, and they'll settle for that 89.6. And you got other people that they got that 98, and they're like, oh man, I was 2 points away from that 100. What can I do next time? So it's all about, are you continuing to be resilient and sharpen the saw? You got to stay on it. And I'm guilty of falling off the wagon of wanting the list all the time, because I'm like, man, where I live, there's people out here rocking sweats all day, looking gross, morbidly obese. You can't have a stimulating conversation for shit. So thank God for technology. You know what I'm saying? Because then I can talk to my smart friends about smart things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I can go back into the world and be like, man, and so, I'm guilty. I've been kind of struggling with that also. Like, man, do I really need to be living here? Like, the people out here are nothing like me, I don't care about football that much. All these cats out here want to talk about football this, football that, and I'm just like, man, I stopped watching football when I was 14. Don't get me wrong, I still watch the highlight videos, but I'll go watch a 15-minute YouTube video over the plays of the week, as opposed to just sitting and
watching the whole
3
game.
hours out of my day focusing on one football game. Now, once the finals come in, I might start watching a little more. But for the most part, we only have 24 hours in a day, and so what are you spending your time on?
Yeah. I'm the same way,
And
dude.
it sounds like you don't have time to be watching that game. You got to, hey, look, I got to get that podcast, and I got to go get my lift session, and I got to go learn. I got to go read that book, like, you know. And so, you know, it's kind of like a catch-22, right? You got people that you know, there are a lot of people. Oh, Anthony Joshua, you know who that is? The boxer.
Nah.
He's from London.
Is he the heavyweight dude?
He's like the heavyweight champion of the
Oh,
world right now.
yes,
Joshua.
yes. He's knocking fuckers
dude,
out.
Dude's killing it, right?
He's fucking beating. He's knocking motherfuckers out, man.
Bro,
He's a fucking monster.
There's a guy on YouTube. It's Mind Smash, I think is what it's called.
Uh-huh.
And this dude just kind of like evaluates people and whatnot, and different situations, you know. And Anthony Joshua, check this out. And I don't know the details, but basically this is pretty cool. Anthony Joshua, you know, upcoming star. Another boxer ends up accusing Anthony of like trying to sleep with his girl or trying to kick it, spit
Yeah.
game at her or something like that, right? And so he's, you know, like, you're trying to hit on my girl, whatever, you know. And you know what Anthony's response is? He says, that's not true. Everybody knows that I don't have time to mess with females, so that's a lie because I'm too busy focusing on being the championship, like the champ.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time to focus with these females right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys, it's almost like they have to choose. Do you want to be great at that one thing and risk mediocrity in other areas of your life, or do you want to have that balance? Right? You look at Nikola Tesla, right? Dude never had a girl. He was antisocial. He was a good guy. Had all these, you know, he had all these inventions, but like he died alone and like had pigeons as friends.
Yeah, didn't he? Like, yeah, he fell in love with. Like he had an infatuation with pigeons, man. Like that was.
Why?
Yeah. Listen, he didn't listen. He was just too fucking busy to doing shit. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a lot of shit that we have like right now. You know.
Exactly.
Goddamn. Didn't somebody backstab him or some shit? Like I forgot what happened.
Tyson or Tesla?
Tesla. Oh.
Yeah, Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison.
His, idea for the light bulb.
Yeah, Thomas Edison. Didn't he backstab him and shit? Hello?
Yeah, what you said?
I said, didn't Thomas Edison backstab Tesla over some shit or something like that?
That's right. Yeah, over the light bulb.
Yeah.
I think that what he did is I'm not really sure the details, but essentially Tesla had came up with the light bulb, and then Tesla was all about doing the right thing, and so he would like sell patents or give them away if he knew it was the betterment for mankind. But then the problem was that these people would buy patents from him, or they'd steal them, and then they would just try to make money off of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing is I mean, you know, in life you have a lot of people that, you know, they're too much of one thing, and they end up being great in that area, but then in other areas they like fail miserably, right? Look at Albert Einstein. He was a mathematician, but he shit his pants. You know?
Yeah.
He couldn't tie his shoes. He shit his pants, and you know. So it's like the catch-22. It's like with the blessing comes the curse.
True.
With the blessing of the girl that you're so infatuated and in love with, and you know, and the masculine energy comes out. Well, there still comes the weakness. There still comes the curse of like you're still a man and you're still going to break, as every other man does.
Yeah, I mean,
just make sure you break to the right person. Make
Yeah.
sure that you know you're around the right people that have your best interest at heart.
it's no, that's true because like even though I have a purpose and I'm fully focused on that, I mean there's some chicks that, you know, catch my eye and I'm just like, fuck, like I don't want to, you know, she has good conversation and shit, she looks good, I'm attracted to her, I know she's attracted to me, but I do get in my own way and I'm like, yo, like don't do it, don't get into it because I'm more passionate.
So I got something for you. You know, Strength Camp. What's that guy's name? Joe Elliott.
Yeah,
Cole?
Yo Elliott. Yeah.
All right. So he does a video where he talks about many orgasms, like mental orgasms.
Oh shit! I
And
need to find this
think that
episode.
It's a really good video because he's saying like, yeah, I'm married, I got kids, this and that, but man, I see a girl that I like, and guess what? I know that I'm not going to try to get with her, you know, but sometimes knowing that you can get something is just as good as actually having it, right?
Yeah.
If you think about when you're lifting, right, you want to get that physique, but then you know you got access to that cake, and you're like, I know I have access to it, so you know what? I'm just gonna take a little bit of a bite, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so basically, what he's saying is, he said it's all about, you know, getting the satisfaction from giving women mental orgasms, meaning like stimulating their mind. You know, if you can make a girl like laugh, or if you can make her wonder about you, or you know what I'm saying, like if you can still do those things, then that can be enough for you.
That's true.
And you won't even need to go holler at her and get, you know, and smash, because you're like, I already know I can do it, but I got a girl at home and she's loyal and she's the one I want. But like, man, yeah, she's cute, you know. And at the same time, like, game recognized game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I know my girl is good looking and guys are looking at her, and if I don't continue to maintain my game, you know, somebody could take her. Could come in as super, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, she knows that if she doesn't keep her game right, then
vice versa.
she could lose me.
Yeah,
and
vice
so
versa.
we both have to value what we have and cherish it so that we can continue to work hard for it, right? It's like what they say is, you know, you don't stop when you get to the top, because that's when the hard work starts coming in. Is like,
because you have to maintain that
right?
position.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
But
shit.
yeah, man. So it's but man, this is like opening up a can of worms, because there's so many other topics that we can discuss, you know, and it all starts with something, a simple question like that. But I mean, I get so much more joy out of being able to talk about these types of ideas and getting other people's opinions than I am about watching a freaking game on TV, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And doing all that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like me some UFC all day, but like, man, I mean, you know, you got to be able to manage your time, and you know, again, who are you? And what are you about? And then how, you know, you got to put the big, you got to focus on the big things first, and then if you have time for all the other little things, right, then you can try to put those in as you see fit. But at some point, I think it's just in human nature for men to want to procreate and women to want to have children.
Oh, for sure. You can't get rid of like the primitive. You can't get rid of like what we're made. We need to our species. We're programmed to extend like our species to the next generation. You know what I mean? So like we can't fight that. That's why, I mean, I have my own plans on whenever I am ready to start a family. Like, it might not be like the traditional way, like, but I already made up in my mind what the fuck I'm gonna do, because I do have that urge, and I do have that urge to be. I do have that urge to be a father, and I know that I will be a good father. I just know, you know what I mean. But I'm just not right. I'm not in that position that I want quite yet. I'm not gonna jump into it and just do that shit. You know what I mean? So you're right about. You're definitely right about like what this human species is made for. Definitely.
See, here's one of the dilemmas you're gonna run across is, as any other man will really. You can play a lot longer than she can.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
Like,
they have a biological.
You may not decide that you want to have kids until you're like, let's say, like 36, 40.
Yeah.
And guess what? Her time, she's like, okay, look, like, I like you. You trying to have some kids? Because I got about 3 years left in me before, like, my clock is going to expire. So, like, what are you trying to do? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's where you have to take the balance of, like, am I just going to date this? Because, see, the thing is like, if you drag her along, then that's kind of, like, pretty fucked up of you, because you're being selfish in a way, right? But at the same time, like, she's a good girl and you just want to be around her, but you just don't want to commit like that just yet, right? Because for whatever reason. And so that's kind of like the dilemma that you're going to have is,
Yeah.
And if you're not serious about, going to that next level with her, well, then you need to, like, figure it out quickly, because the last thing you want is her being pissed off at you that you dragged her along for 4 or 5. Dude, I know this. I know this girl dated a guy for 10 years, and it got to the point to where it was like she was giving him like ultimatums, like, "Hey, like, what's going on? You gonna marry me or not?" And I guess he ended up. I don't know whatever happened, but it sounds like he ended up like
bouncing,
proposing to her and everything, and then like I don't know what happened, but they're not together anymore. And all I can think of is like this dude's still, what is he, like 31, 32?
Yeah.
Moving on. She's freaking 29. And maybe she doesn't want kids. I don't know. There are some people that are perfectly happy, like, I've got enough nieces and nephews, I don't need kids, I can just live, I can just be there for them, and that's it. But I was just thinking, like, man, if this woman wants to have kids in the family, like, damn, dude, he kind of did her wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, he didn't do her wrong, but, like, man, that's pretty selfish of him,
Well, I tell people, man, like, if you're ever going to start any kind of relationship that's serious, you got to have serious conversations. So if you just got to lay it out there in the beginning, like, yo, like,
well, but that's the thing is, that's something that definitely is going to come up, and you got to be careful on how you handle it, right? Because, I mean, you can, so, you got her saying, so what are we at this point? And you're like, see, at that point, the answer that you give can increase that attraction or decrease it. And so you have to make the decision of, first of all, do I want to go long term, or am I going to continue to be deceitful just so that I can continue to, you know what I'm saying,
I think
satisfy my needs, and meanwhile risking hurting her in the long run?
I think the best answer for that is just tell the truth. Like, and I think this is like, listen, like,
that is, but, sometimes telling the truth is going to get you, like, dumped.
Well, it is what it is. Like, well, you know what? If you do get dumped by saying, like, hey, I don't want to, if you get dumped by telling the truth, you're not being selfish, and she's going to appreciate that in the long run. So both parties, at the end of the day, is going to be happy.
I know that, I've dated girls in the past, and, we broke up, and, like, we wouldn't talk to each other for a long time, and some of them, you never talk to them, right? That's not what you want to do. What you want to do, again, this Coach Corey Wayne guy, I'll send you the link. Dude.
Yeah,
He's
for sure.
He's got this book called How to Be a 3% Man, and he's got, like, an audio book that he gives away for free and everything. But one thing that it's if you truly love a person, then you want what's best for them, even if it's not with you, right? And
for sure. If
you guys have those conversations, then if you are, like you're saying, being honest, guess what? She might be upset about it at that moment, but she'll thank you in the long run.
Yeah.
And that's why I've got some relationships that I was in where if I see the girl, like, hey, we're real good friends, and we pick up where we left off. Because I was being honest, and although it hurt in the very beginning, now they see that, like, wow, he really did care about me.
Yeah.
And that's just a battle that we're always fighting with ourselves. I mean, think about it, like, okay, you got a bomb-ass dime over here, and she's asking you if you're serious or not, and you're like, man, messing around with you is so nice, and I don't want to stop that, and so I'm just going to continue to drag you along, maybe for another 6 months.
Yeah, for sure. I can easily see that happening.
Sure, I stop, like, by the time she hits, 24, 25, 26, whatever, because I don't want to screw her life up.
Yeah. But people don't think like that. You know what I mean? And listen, I just know the importance of time now, and I don't want to waste anybody's time, and I don't want to waste my own time. So, like, I always tell the truth.
Absolutely.
I always tell the truth, and
That's right.
I'm not afraid to, like, lose a piece of pussy. I'm just not. Like, it's fine.
Right.
Like, it's okay. Like, you do you, and I'm gonna continue on, doing my goals, because, like, at the end of the day, I'll tell you what my plans are, and you can comment on it, but, like, it is what it is. But if I don't accidentally have a child, like an unplanned child, then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go the surrogacy route and just find a surrogate mother and just have a child, and I don't have to worry about like baby mama drama or anything like that.
You're gonna pull the old Cristiano Ronaldo, huh?
Hey, yeah, hey, yep.
Because I see that. Yeah. Well, you know, that's the
Go!
That's the crazy thing is, by the way, shout out to my boy Ronaldo. He got the Ballon d'Oro 2017. So him and Messi, I think they're tied, or either that or Messi's still ahead. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, you know, that's what's crazy about our society is things are changing. And, you know, I mean, Michael Jackson did it too.
Yeah.
You know, hey, look, I don't want drama, I just want a kid. But at the end of the day, you know, that's a tough one because at the end of the day, the data shows that, like, if you want to raise a healthy child, it's best for them to have a man and a father and a mother in their lives.
You know, and I 100% agree with that, but at this time of like, it's almost like I will have to have that conversation with my child saying, like, listen, this is the reason why, like, I chose this route. And you might have you might have mommy issues and shit, but we're going to work it out until I leave this earth. But this is, I mean, listen, nobody's life is perfect. And this is why I chose to do that. Like, I am preparing myself to have that conversation and be straight up. And if I accidentally...
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I was saying, like, if I accidentally have a child or whatnot, like, I'm going to have to tell him and her, because eventually they'll find out, like, the truth or whatnot, and I don't want to seem like I'm a liar or anything. So I would definitely tell them, like, listen, you weren't planned, but you changed my life, and so on and so on. I just don't want to have to deal with any kind of baby mama drama. That fucking scares me. You know how in the movie, like, it shows you, like, it basically feeds off your fears and shit. Like, if I was in that movie, there would be two things that would scare me. It would be baby mama drama and goddamn student loan people calling me and shit. Like, I would, like, it would get me. You know what I mean? So, if I can avoid those two things, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's very, you know, and the crazy thing about our life is that your opinion can change in a year, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, you know, what happens when you do find the right one? You know, then what?
Yeah, you know what?
And man, I mean, I used to, you know, when I was a child, I did childish things, and then I became a man, and so I put away childish ways, you know? So, you know, that may never happen. I don't know, you know?
I never look past that, but I do try to prepare myself for, like, I wouldn't even say this is the worst case scenario, but I do prepare myself for, like, the logical scenario, like, when it comes to this. Like, if I do want to be a father and I don't find the right one, I'm just gonna go the surrogate route, you know? At least I'll have that satisfaction.
Well, here's something that I think I've battled with for a long time is, you know, they say if you want what you've never had, you have to be willing to do things that you've never done. And so, you know, if this is the way that you want to go, you know, that's what do you know what I mean? But if you decide, like, I mean, like I said, like, you know, there's tons of people out there that they thought they wanted to be in relationships and marriages and all that, and then they just saw time after time about how things didn't work out, and they were like, nope, not for me. I don't need to make that mistake, right? And then you had other people that were like, man, I'm going to be single forever. You know, F the other race, or F the other gender, I'm just going to get mine, whatever. And then they end up finding somebody that they're just so in love with, and they're like, man, that's the one. You know, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, you have to do your research, you know, and you have to do your research, do your homework, you know, and so does she. She's got to do her homework on what she wants, you know, but as long as you're continuing to pursue your goal, then that's going to come to you.
Yeah.
And you have to have faith that is going to come to you. And a lot of people don't. So what do? They try to go out and get it themselves. And when they do that, they fail in the process, and then that's when they end up getting in all this drama, right?
Yeah. No.
So, that's kind of the kicker. It's like, man, you mean to tell me that the right one is out there and I don't have to do anything? But whenever she presents herself, okay, if you want to receive the blessing, if you want a blessing, you have to be ready to receive it. Because if the person that you're supposed to be with for the rest of your life, that you're supposed to have kids with, walks right in front of you, or is in the same room with you, but you're too busy talking to a chicken head or something, you know what I'm saying? Well, then you're missing out, and the blessing is yours, but you have to be ready to receive it, right? It's kind of like if I say, hey, I want to be big and bad and I want to be Mr. Physique, but then meanwhile, I want to be able to eat my chocolate and I want to be able to eat my candy, this and that, And so I say, well, you know what? They're steroids, so as long as they got steroids, I'll be good. And it's like, well, you will be, but you might die earlier. Your liver might give out on you. You might end up, with shrinkage, whatever, So, pick your poison, essentially,
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Yeah,
that's what life is all about, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm still, going on my own path, Shit, like, I really feel like nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing, and they just keep on going. You just got to keep on going. Like, I'm not going to stop until, like, I'm dead and gone, you know what I mean? So, but you're right. You do grow as a person, especially if you're open-minded, and maybe the shit that I'm saying now is going to totally change, but right now, it's just that this is how I feel, and this is what I truly believe. Before we wrap up this podcast, man, we are over an hour. This is my second episode over an hour. This shit is crazy. There was a lot of information dropped. I did want to shine a light on what I was going to say previously, is that one of the things, like, let's say you're dating a girl. Fellas out there, let's say you're dating a girl and you want to know if she's the right one to open up to. You kind of touched on this a little bit. You said you see how the other person, like, treats, like, other people, right? And that brought up a situation where I was dating this chick, and she would, like, tell me, like, her best friends and her other friends, like, secrets and shit, just to kind of uplift her. And I was just like, yo, I'm definitely not going to tell her shit because she's fucking just going to blab her mouth or whatnot, So if you are in a situation where your chick is just, telling, like, the best friend stuff, and you're not even asking for this information, and she's doing it in a way to kind of belittle her friends or whatnot, she's most likely going to probably spread the information that you give her to her friends and other people. That's how I see it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And my whole thing is how many times do you have to play with fire before you realize that it burns you?
Yeah, don't touch the stove.
And you can only get burned so many times before you just become desensitized to it or it kills you,
Yeah. Well, shit.
So, yeah, you definitely got to be careful with that, And there's a lot of, it's crazy because you think that, like, I think of, like, Allegory of the Cave, right? You got, about the Allegory of the Cave where you got the one guy that went outside and saw outside of the cave. He goes back inside and he tries to tell all the people that are shackled up, like, hey,
yeah,
the shackles,
isn't that, like, didn't a philosopher?
And they're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, wasn't that like a philosopher?
Yeah, I'm not really sure which one. Maybe it was like either Plato or Socrates or something. But
yeah.
The moral is let's say, for instance, like I'm sure you've had men who have been in a marriage for over 30 plus years, long-term marriage, and they're still happy and this and that, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I understand what you're thinking right now. I was there, and I understand that, like, you don't want to deal with the drama. But guess what? When you find that right one, there's not going to be the drama like that. Now, that being said, you're always going to have to work to maintain something, right? I mean, a relationship, So you can't ever give up. But I was, for the longest time, man, marriage is no longer between a man and a woman, and it's no longer like it's no longer sacred. And I can either continue to try to take the high road, if that's what you want to call it, or I can just say, you know what, I'm going to beat you at your own game. Let me give you this example. You've got a lot of people that are on their third and fourth generation welfare recipients. And me being a hardworking American that I am, like I don't want free. I want to work for what I have.
Yeah.
And then I interact with people third and fourth generation welfare recipients. That means that as they were growing up, they were watching their mom, just play the system, right? And getting them EBT stamps and getting that government assistance, getting that Section 8, and then still being able to have money to go, do all the fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, and when I see a person, I'm like, man, like, I understand what you want to do, but man, you have a lot of people that they don't look at, like, I don't want to say the bigger picture, but they don't look at what they do and how it impacts the rest of society. This is kind of like a different tangent, but you got people that they're perfectly happy not getting a job and getting $500 a month from the government, because they know that if they get a job with the limited education that they have, they would probably only be making $400 a month if they actually went and had a job. And so this way they don't have to work. They can get paid. They don't have to work. They can continue to do whatever they want. And guess who suffers in the end? Society does, and it's crazy because our society is getting to a point in a lot of areas where, like, you know what, you want to beat me up, you want to bring me down, okay, guess what, I'm gonna beat you at your own game. You're gonna tell me I'm not good enough, okay, bet. I'm gonna play dumb, and I'm gonna say that I'm mentally challenged so that I can get extra money from the government because you wanted to call me dumb, and guess what, I'm gonna play dumb, and I'm gonna make sure I play dumb to the point where it hurts your pocket.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy stuff, and then you go back to that reptilian mindset, right? Am I doing what's best for me, or am I doing what's best for my family, or am I doing what's best for society, for mankind, And so that's kind of the battle that a lot of us struggle with, and some people, believe it or not, some people just don't, like, they won't be around enough, around the positive influences enough for them to be affected by it, And, it's unfortunate, but all we can do is, continue to love each other and not judge, and just express who we are, and continue to try to help each other and do what's best for one another, but yeah, I mean, life is crazy, and it's only going to continue to get more complicated, but at the end of the day, you got your morals and your standards, and that's what you got to hold on to.
Yeah.
You have to hold true to,
Yeah.
That being said, they do change occasionally, so.
No, man, that's that. I mean, that's.
We'll definitely have to, man. I definitely look forward to talking to you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep up with your topics and everything, and I definitely like some of these questions that you ask, because I think that you're going to get very basic responses, but then you're also going to get deep thinkers that want to chime in and say, okay, look, I understand that this is what everybody else sees, but let's look at it from this angle.
Yeah, no,
let's look at it from this angle, and I think that is what's going to. I think that's what makes a podcast. I think that's what makes for good conversation. Like you didn't start this podcast so that you could get the same people responding, saying, women ain't shit, men ain't shit, this and that. You want, like, okay, but why are you thinking that? And can you put some theory behind what you're thinking, your logic,
Yeah.
Let's break it down and let's see where are those thoughts coming from, so.
It's I really just want to create a platform where it's just open dialogue and we can just take a narrative and just fucking run with it. You know what I mean? And
sure.
The reason why I interview, my whole podcast is set up where I go into a studio. Like I have a studio session where I actually bring in guests and we're all like at almost at a round table. And then I have like more of a like where I'm mobile, where I can be anywhere because I do travel a lot, and that's when I take in most of my phone interviews. But I just want to get various people talking about, you know, certain subjects, just so other people can hear it, and they might gravitate to one person, and another person might open them up to another idea. This is just all about just conversation, right? So,
well, yeah, and the thing is, you know, I could say 100 different things, and you may only take in one of those things that I said.
yeah,
You know, and that's kind of why I like, I mean, I don't really listen to the radio that much anymore. I just listen to podcasts a lot of the times. You know, and that's why I like people like Joe Rogan, is because there's a lot of times where he goes off on his tangents, and I'm like, yeah, don't really agree with you on that. But then there's other times I'm like, you know what, I didn't think of it like that.
yeah, for sure,
You know,
for sure.
and then I have that paradigm shift. I'm like, wow, okay, you know, now that I've learned this, now, you know, how is that going to change my life or my behaviors, etc. You know, so, but you have to always be willing. If you want to grow, you have to be willing to, I guess, be vulnerable, but also like you got to take, you know, there's that saying like, if you had a room full of ping pong balls and they were all white, and I told you there's one ping pong ball that's red and it's worth $1 million, would you go through the whole room searching for that one? Yeah, for $1 million, you sure would.
Yep.
Well, similarly, are you willing to go through a room of just a bunch of information just so that you can find that one nugget, and that can very well, you know, spark that change, you know?
Yeah,
Mike Tyson, his mentor was Customato, right? And one thing Customato said, he said, you know, my goal, man, I hope I don't ruin this quote, but he says, you know, my goal is to spark that flame, is to cause that spark, and then feed it so that it turns into a fire, and then grow it till it becomes like a roaring flame. And so similarly, you know, that's what we should be striving towards, is just, you know, try to gain as much knowledge as you can, and you know, stay in the gym and stay adamant and stay humble too, right? Because you got a lot of these people that they already know everything.
yeah. I avoid people I avoid those.
I remember, like, when I was lifting regularly all the time, I was, you know, looking good and everything, and I was like the most humble then, because I was like, man, you know, what little nugget could I pick up from this guy, the squat rack that's putting up 5-6 plates, you know? What can I tweak to get me that extra increase in my squat or my bench, whatnot, you know? And, you know, and I'd be willing to go to the gym all the time, because I knew, like, I never know when I'm going to meet that person who's going to tell me that information, right? And so I'm always, like, open-minded, you know. Today may be the day. Today may be the day that you meet that person that changes your life, or, you know. And there's a lot of people, they're like, oh, man, I was on the road towards disaster, and then I met this one person, and then they changed my life, and because of them, I'm now at this position. You ever seen that show, Shark Tank?
Yeah, I watch it from time to time.
Okay, okay, Mr. Wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
All right, they said, he says one time when he was a kid, he had a job, and he was working like at an ice cream shop, and there was like water was like flooding over the floors, and then the manager yelled at him and said, you need to clean this up or you're fired or something like that. And that just sparked him to where he said, I am never going to work for somebody else again and be made to feel like this. And so from that moment on, he's just business, hustling. And now he's got billions of dollars. And he's just like, that little thing right there is what did it for me. I said, I will never work for somebody else again. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, man, you know, how many times in my life have had something like that happen to me, where it just, I was like shook. I got shook up. You know, I got caught up, but I didn't make a difference. I didn't change. I just dealt with it. You know, I mean, the world is a cold place, and you know, society, the world is just going to want to beat you up, right? But like Sylvester Stallone says in Rocky, It's all about getting up and continuing to push forward. So whatever you do, continue to push forward, and get up, don't stop, and keep pushing forward. And at the end of the day, like, you're gonna succeed.
Yeah. No.
Or you'll die trying.
No. Yeah. Exactly. Well, shit, man.
And you know what they said? They said it's better for you to try and fail than it is to never try at all. And that's hard because there's some things that, like, man, you get so hurt, you're like, I don't even want to try again. And then there's other areas where you're like, okay, well, I didn't hit that goal. Well, it's all good. I'm still going to continue. And it's interesting to see how some people are different, right? Like, for instance, for me, I'll get up and go when it comes to failing in squats. And then you may want to get up and go when it comes to bench. Or I may say, look, if I make a failing grade in school, I'm going to still continue to push forward. And I'll retake a class if I need to. And then you might be like, no, if I fail once, I'm done. I'm not going back to that course. That's not for me, whatever. So, I mean, it's interesting to see that, like, everybody's different and we're all going on our own journey. So, I think that we just continue to help each other out along the way and see if we can, be the ones that help spark each other, because, I mean, I hope I helped you think about a lot of different things as you have helped make me think about things that I was just like, wow, I hadn't even thought about that, And so, like I said, we sharpen each other,
Yep. Well, hey, we're doing our part, and hopefully our voices will help out some people in the future or whatnot, you know what I mean? Shit.
Yeah, the last thing I want to leave you with is,
wrap it up.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, they say growth is always hardest in the first, 6-8%. And then after that, it just skyrockets. And so whatever you're going through, man, just keep grinding, keep it going, and know that you got a lot of people that have your back. And, yeah, man, I'll see you on the winning side, right?
Man, yeah, thank you, man. You gonna make me cry now? You making me vulnerable now? You making me cry, brother? Shit.
Hey, you can cry around me, but don't cry like a girl.
Yeah, exactly. No, all right, cool. No, man, it was nice talking to you, and I'm definitely gonna have you back, man. And listen, listen, whenever you get back on the line, we are going to call each episode that we do. It's gonna be called Just a Conversation, right? Because like we went to the atmosphere with all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? So you just started a new series on my podcast, and I wrote it down and everything. So thank you for that. Well, I'm gonna end my podcast like how I always end, by saying, teach people how to treat you. Sometimes you have to reteach people how to treat you. I am your host, Baba Tuesday, and we are out. Peace.
All right. God bless. We'll see you later. Bye.
Peace.